All right, so I'm excited about this episode. I'm joined by Mat Tolman, owner of Tolman Installation and Home Improvement in Barre, Massachusetts. This is his first ever podcast, so
First one.
we're gonna kind of go with the flow and be asking some questions, and we're gonna just have a casual conversation and just see where it goes. So hopefully you guys get some value out of this. And if you need a construction company in the area, these are the guys to go to. So without further ado, I'm gonna get into the first question. So I kind of want to have you introduce yourself to the audience because this is gonna be a new audience.
All right.
So kind of talk about yourself a little bit and a little background on the business.
All right. So my name is Mat Tolman. I'm a third generation owner of Tolman Installation and Home Improvements. My grandfather started it back in '69 with the oil crisis, and my father took over. We started getting into other things, and I took over, and I wanted to really grow a business and a label that the kids can be proud of, and the family. Talking about myself, I'm originally from Worcester, Massachusetts, and grew up there in the mean streets.
The mean streets of Worcester.
Got in a lot of trouble back in the day, but I kind of grabbed hold of this opportunity that was given to me, and here we are today.
Awesome. And did you always, I'm curious about this, did you always have a passion for construction? Or did you see your dad doing it and you're like, that's what
Honestly, I didn't realize what it was. I didn't take serious interest in the business until my first son was born in 2006. I was in it since '99, but it was just a job. It paid for my, my after hours, extravaganzas. And, but until when responsibility, fell into my lap, it was an eye opener. And then I really started taking an interest. I really started seeing what it could be, you know what I mean? How much potential the construction business has. And if you put I realize that if you put your nose, if anything you want to put the effort into will give back eventually,
It's just that working hard. It always comes back to that.
Yeah, that's it. It really does. I mean, I did love it. I loved working with my hands. I loved even doing insulation, like crawling in the nasty attics. I always would say, it's not a job, it's an adventure. Just get it, because it's always something new, especially with insulation, the crawl spaces, you're running into crazy things, I found, skulls, animal skulls. Oh yeah. But it kept me interested, I was like, what the hell is going on here? And then the next one would be totally different, so I always did love getting dirty and then working with my hands and then the best part when I really started getting into it was the customer satisfaction to see the oh my god, we'd get a call 2 weeks later from an older from older couples or whatever have you, and saying, oh, we can't believe how much warmer it is in this house, and I keep using insulation because that's what we did a lot of, and those were the calls you love to get. You're making a difference in people's lives.
Putting a smile on people's faces.
Right.
What it comes down to.
Yeah.
And so you got into construction or the business like completely in 2006 or right after your son was born. So what did you do before?
I was always in the construction business.
Did you have another job or?
Yeah, I worked. I did. When I first got in the business, I was doing. I love to draw, and I was doing construction because it paid the bills, and then I would I would look up online, because that was when online first started, believe it or not, and and I would draw comic books and send them out to like bigger companies like DC and Marvel, and I tried applying, never heard back, and I did a college course for about 6 months, and I says, you know what, it just wasn't paying the bills. And no matter how much I heard my aunt and my grandmother in my ear saying to follow your dreams, don't ever give up, at that time it was like it doesn't pay. The term starving artist is, there's a reason they say that. So I did that, and then I ended up getting a second job. I would work construction during the day, and then I'd work UPS twice shift at night. And that would be like the 6 to 12 crew or something. But I did that for 3 years.
And How many hours a day was that working?
Oh, I don't know. It was all I thought about was the check at the end of the week. When you're young. That's I tell every young guy I meet, I say, do it now while you got the energy, and because it does pay off, as long as you manage your money correctly, which I did not. But then I did that, and then I got out of that because construction picked up. When my old man had it, it was we always had a slow season, so I'd always look for a night job so I could work construction when we had the work, and then the night job was steady, guaranteed income, and then I got a second part-time job at Pizza Hut, and so I was doing the cooking at Pizza Hut after hours, and I would literally run to Pizza Hut from a construction job, covered in installation, wash up in their sink, change my work shirt, and then go work at the line flipping pizzas. Yeah, and I'd be there till 1-2 in the morning, cleaning up, and then 6 in the morning back at it, going to work at the construction. So
I respect the hell out of that. I'm someone who needs a minimum 8 hours of sleep a night, or else I just can't function throughout the day. And here you are working like basically 18-hour days with multiple jobs. Like, I truly respect that.
Yeah, well, I don't ever want to go back to where I was. I mean, I think I discussed this with you before, but I mean, when I first got, when I first had my son, I was living in a 1-bedroom apartment with me and him alone, and I mean, it was so bad, we were eating nothing but noodles. And I didn't even have rent to pay. I was living in my grandfather's basement. He had a little 1-bedroom apartment. And I mean, we lived off noodles for about 6 months, just noodles every day. And because we had no work. My old man didn't want to work. And I mean, the Pizza Hut thing pretty much, bought the noodles and paid the electric bill. and at that time I was also quite a heavy drinker as well, so I can't say it was all just the economy, but it's that I don't ever want to be back to that point where I'm pinching pennies just to make sure we got food in our bellies, because that's a scary thing, and if I wasn't blessed with the family business, if this business, I don't know what would have happened. I was very lucky to have this business available to me.
Oh my God, that's insane, because you hear so many successful people talk about how they started from the legit bottom, eating noodles like you for 6 months.
Yeah.
And then they slowly, just day by day, they just take their 2 hands and they get to work, and one foot in front of the other.
And for the longest time, I felt like it was, it's got to change, and that's kind of what motivated me a lot to I mean, me and my old man fought every day on the job because we disagreed on how he was running it, and I wanted to do it one way, he wanted to do it the other, and you get that a lot in family businesses, and but I could see the potential, but that's a lot of what motivated me, was like, I always thought in my head, you hear people say it doesn't happen overnight, but I was always like, if we can do so much more, and it doesn't. But I learned. I was actually, it's so funny that I'm thinking of this now, because I was just thinking of it a couple days ago, that it doesn't. I was thinking about where I am right now, and it really doesn't happen overnight. It takes years and years and years of hard work and constant grinding. You know what I mean? And it's a lot more often than not. You feel like you're failing at everything you're doing, and because it's, but if you can overdo that, if you can get beyond that and realize that tomorrow's another day, then you can things start to change slowly.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
That does make sense. Yeah. And you mentioned the way you mentioned that. So my big thing is, like, if I'm not like working or something, like I wake up in the morning, it's like, I don't feel like going to the gym. I don't feel like working today. And then I just immediately think, it's like, someone else is already like at the gym. Someone else is already putting in the work. Like,
right.
That's my motivation, because someone's trying to be better than me. And it's like, I got to outwork that person. So I kind of have a standard, like, where I always think of like someone's working right now, like in the same field as me, and they're outworking me. And that's what motivates me to get up in the morning. Are you kind of the same way?
Well, I think that's a dangerous way to look at it, because there's not always going to be that person to compare. I don't think I mean, everybody has their own motivation, and whatever does it for you, you know. But I think you have to just be better than you were yesterday. You know what I mean? You know, if you hold yourself to someone else's standards, I feel like you're leaving way too much room to let yourself down. You know, and I think you should be proud of who you are today, and not and just strive for better the next day. You know, I can't tell you how many days I have where I get up and I'm like, oh my God, I don't got to go do this again, and nothing's gonna change. I tell myself, why do I got to do all these meetings? Like, that's a big thing now, the meetings, because I'm no longer in the field. I'm in the office, and I got an office staff now with a lot of management skill. They come from a good background, and they're always like, oh, we're meeting, and I'm just like, oh, but at the end of the day, I'm like, wow, we actually got a lot accomplished, and I feel accomplished. So, you know, I always leave the doors open to the guys, but if there's something that I think that we should all, you know, get together, and I want them all to feel, everyone should feel like they're part of it. You know, I want them to know they're part of the decision making. I'm not just up here dictating how things are gonna be. I want everyone to be happy, and if everyone's not happy, then I will do our best to make sure they are. I mean, it's impossible to make everyone happy, but
as simple as that sounds, is trying to make everyone happy. There's so many business owners and that just are in it for the money. They don't care about their employees' like well-being. All they want is the next dollar bill.
Or their customers.
You know,
too. Which you see all the time. It drives me nuts, which is one of the things that motivates me to be better. You know, is because we call Verizon, call Charter. Oh my God! Before I even speak to someone, I want to hang the phone up.
I know, they just sound that monotone voice.
We're so sorry. We're so sorry for your inconvenience. No, you're not. You don't give a shit. If you were sorry, you would have answered the phone 20 minutes ago when I started the automated survey, or you would have. You know, it's ridiculous. So honestly, that's one of my big things is I try to tell all my customers, you know, we're here for you. Call us. If I'm not available, the office staff is available. If they're not available, the installer's available to you. The supervisor's available to you. So, you know, I don't ever want to be like that. You know, automated service, bah humbug.
And that adds up. You know, the more customers that you deal with, you have empathy for, the more they're likely they're going to tell their friends and stuff about you. Like, oh, I called up Tolman. They did a great job. They're super nice to me. And that's just like, it builds a reputation for your brand. And you hear there's real estate, like I'm in real estate, and there's so many real estate agents that are just in it for the money, and you know their clients can see that. They can just see that because they're not empathetic towards them.
You know, but there's a real fine line though. I'm learning the longer I go is there are even some people that take it, just like you say, you can't make everyone happy, but there are some people that try to take advantage of your kindness as well all the time. Yeah. And I mean, you go above and beyond for those people. At least you feel you do. And they're just, you know, it's just like anybody else out there, you know, this just real, it's a fine line. But then you feel like a jerk when you got to draw that line in the sand, and they're like, I can't believe you're treating me like this. And it's like, come on, how much more do you want? You want the blood? You want my firstborn? You know, it's crazy. So it's tough. It's tough to make that call, you know, especially when you are a good guy and you want to do the right thing, you know.
My big thing is like kindness will always win out. Obviously, there's gonna be those bumps along the road where you have that one customer who just doesn't, you know, respect your kindness. They're you know, a dick to you, or whatever the case may be. But it's always gonna win out in the end. That's the key to winning. I think being successful in business is kindness.
Yeah, helps you. You know, if you know you did everything you can.
Yeah.
You're sleeping all right at night.
Okay, I'll move on to the next customer.
Right. Yup. Move it. That's a big. I love that. Moving on.
Yeah.
It's a big line, and I find myself using that so much. Like, you know, and one of the things is my project supervisor Brian, for instance, he's always been just like me. Grew up in the trade, on the roofs, in the field, swinging a hammer. Now I've created the position in the company where he can be my project supervisor, my project manager, and boy, is he out of his element. You know, but one of the things I'm trying to tell him to the point is, you know, hey, I know this customer's giving you a hard time. Moving on. We're off that job. You know, 3 days later, you're still talking about that job. Moving on. I love that line.
Yeah, and the thing is, even with the customer that's, you know, kind of a jerk to you, you can't be a jerk back to them because that could come back and haunt you like 1, 2, 3 years from now.
Yeah.
You just never know.
My father used to say to me, if those difficult customers, if you can make them happy and they talk well about you, all the people in their circle know who they are, how they are, know that they're difficult. And if they talk well about you, they wow, if he made him happy, phew, you know. And I that's another thing that I try to keep in mind. Sometimes though, that gets lost. You know, it's when you deal that was easier for me to maintain that mindset when it was me on the job sites with 2 or 3 guys working the job with me. I could keep that. I'm gonna make this guy happy no matter what I gotta do. But when you got 12 customers calling and 60 customers, potential customers that you're dealing with on the phone, that mindset's very hard to keep sometimes. I do find at a certain point, but it's right though. It's 100% fact. You know, if you can make those people happy, everyone's gonna see that.
Exactly. We started this like section talking about the team, your team. So like, what does your team mean to you? Like, what does that word like mean to you? Like, without a team, honestly, you're not going to be successful. Right. It really, you're 100% right. And that's part of why I have those meetings is I want everyone to know it's part of a team. It's part, and I substitute the word team with family. I want to build a family group of guys, which means that I'm trusting you to do what's needed to be done. I'm trusting you to run this job site and to treat my customers with my name on you're representing my name, my family name. So it's a lot of it's difficult, first of all, to take something you've built and hand it to a guy and say, hey, go represent me, you know, without doing it yourself and micromanaging it. That's one of the hardest things, but you know, everybody has their part to play in a team, and if one of the members of that team drop the ball, it's up to the other members of the team to help them pick it up or make that play for them. You know, and I see a lot of that happening in my team, in my family, and I think that's what team is carrying each other to the finish line. To answer the question, I guess that was the long answer. Yeah, I love that answer. I love that. And I think sometimes people get put in a bad situation. Say you're like in a corporate office or whatever. You know, you got like 300 employees, and some of them might not be in the right situation where their strength is. And you kind of like, before you go on to like fire that person, you kind of have to be like, think to yourself like, oh, maybe they're better off in accounting or whatever. Maybe they're not meant for the management side of things. So I think that's another thing, because sometimes if someone's underperforming, they might not be best suited for that position.
Right. Yep. And that's 100%. And that's something I've learned in now that I'm behind the desk. You know, that's something I've started to see is, you know, before working, you know, running the job site, you're sitting up there from the stage, you go, God damn, come on, let's go, give me my 7 o'clock. What are you doing, you moron? You know, and but now that I'm here, I can sit back and I can say, all right, you know what? Maybe this guy shouldn't be doing finished work. He's way better of a siding guy. You know, things. And 100%. And honestly, that's something that's on the agenda for us to really set back. Now that we have all these guys and all these crews, we need to figure that out. That's something. There's skill matrix. You know, and properly put them where their best position played. Like a shortstop's going to play shortstop.
You've had a lot of success with this business over recent years, and I'm just very curious. Like, what do your clients mean to you?
Oh, without the clients, there's no business.
And you kind of reiterated how, you know, it's one of the best things about this business is seeing their smile at the end when they're of the job. So
it's you know, my grandfather used to say, you want to show a customer you care about the work you're doing, you make sure you leave their house cleaner than it was before you started. And I keep that in mind to this day. It's I want all my customers to be happy. I want all my customers to know that one of my selling points is, you know, you invite us into your home, I have an office in my home. If anytime you want to come by, go over samples, go have a coffee. Tell me about, your brother that upset, anything, and just come by, shoot the shit, and they're welcome to. I want that they're part of the family as well. The family business I'm building, the family core I'm building. My clients are as well. And that I want them to feel like they are. They're the most important part of it.
Yeah, without making them happy, you're not gonna be happy.
Right. I won't survive. If it wasn't for the clients, then I wouldn't be where I am today. You know what I mean?
Yeah, we actually you kind of had that same answer for one of the videos, which is great. I think I just posted it yesterday, and that was one of my favorite segments. Is that because you mentioned how if you invite us into your home, I'll invite you into my home.
Right.
And I think that's appreciated amongst all the clients. This guy's down to earth. And as someone I want to have working on my house.
Yeah.
So I think that goes a long way.
It's one of the hardest parts of the job is because I'm no longer on the job, but I am still handling sales ends of it. And one of the hardest parts is I can't, so many times I go into people's homes and they're telling me how they gave this guy a deposit, never heard back from him. This guy came in, started the work, never finished it, but he got paid in full. There's a trust level there that I'm already starting down here, and I need to be up here. It's because you can't start a job without money down, and to ask somebody for that. I'm sorry, but I need to ask you for a deposit to get the material and to get the job on the. And it's hard, especially I've ran into some very, very difficult situations where I've been so mortified by what their experience were with previous, contractors. They shouldn't even be allowed to swing a hammer. That I won't take it to deposit. So you know what? We're gonna take care of you. Once we get started, though, then we'll talk. And I'll show you. And that's the tool I use is come to my home. Let me show you that I am so confident in what we can do for you and that we'll make you happy or do our best to make you happy, because God knows you can't make them all happy, but that I'll show you where I live. I'll have you come down to my home and sit and meet my kids and meet my wife, and it's a huge tool.
And I think it goes back to the empathy. You just gotta try to feel what the client's feeling in that situation, and step into their shoes.
Yeah,
that's one of my big things is I try to step into people's shoes. When I'm thinking about for example I'm posting these posts on all these platforms, and I'm trying to think what does the audience want to see, what would they want to know about this business if I was them. And I think you can relate the same way. It's okay, what does this client want from me?
Right.
How am I going to be able to meet their dreams and goals for their home? So
yeah. Well, you get that vibe after doing it as long as I have. I get pretty good vibes, a pretty good read on people, and I can tell if they're not comfortable. And I do my best to make them comfortable. One of the big things I try to. I shouldn't have said it's a tool. You worded it perfectly, where it's empathy for their position they're in, and I feel like I can see if they're not very comfortable with me, and I might try to make a little wise ass comment, make them laugh a little bit, get them
loosened up.
Yeah, and I find that helps a lot, because my mother will tell you I am a smart ass, so it comes naturally. But at the same time, with that hand, you gotta recognize if you're in another person's home, they're strictly to the point. My uncle told me, he was a professor at a college in business, and he says, people mainly want to hear three things from you, and what you have to offer, how much money you can save them, and how fast you can get it done. And so I try to keep that in mind as well, but a lot of times, especially out in the towns, they want to be on that personal level with you.
And I love the 3 points you just made with your uncle. I think that's something I could take into account and use in my own life and business. So I'm gonna start wrapping it up. So the last question is, you grew up in Worcester. So what does this local community mean to you? This area.
So this area, the community means the world. It really does. You don't see enough of it anymore. People that care about the community. that's kind of why I came out to where I am now in Barre it's another world compared to the Worcester. I mean, when I grew up in Worcester, you know, all the neighbors, we'd get a snowstorm. We lived on a dead end street. There was no parking on a good day. Snowstorms, forget about it. But everyone came out the next morning and helped everybody clear the older people clear out the older neighbors clear off their cars and snow blow their areas and shovel off their driveway. Everyone helped everyone in a storm. Then by the time I said I've had enough, it was a free for all. No one cared. I mean, I'm not gonna lie. I shoveled out 5 spots for because I had my box truck because it was just, you know, and then I came home from work. Every spot was taken. Well, that next day I went out with my snowblower and I buried every one of those cars. And but you know, and that's what's out here. That's why I wanted to get out of the city. Part of it. I mean, there was a lot of other stuff going on, but I come out here and I was doing work, and this is old town USA. You know, everybody's kind. It's like living in a lake community. They're driving by. I don't even know these people. They're waving. Everyone, you know, you drive by. Yeah. Well, I mean, don't get me wrong. There are a few, but there's always gonna be that. But I love it. You know, I mean, I'm out here snow blowing last winter, and an officer stops by. Hey, I didn't even know they knew who I was. Hey, Mr. Tolman, you all set? You good?
You know me.
Yeah. I'm like, I didn't do anything. But you know, and it's awesome. You know, that's really awesome. And I went down to the police station. I had an interview with the chief, and they actually, as I was leaving, they said, "Hey, we just want to let you know that you have a great name in this precinct, and you know, we see the work you do around town." And for that to come from people that are supposed to be held at a higher standard, a big part of the community, meant the world. It really did. I thought that was really cool. But so community means a lot. And I want to instill that in my kids. You know, it really does. You know, I go on and on.
I mean, it's already half an hour. It doesn't feel like it's flown by.
Yeah, it did. We kind of flowed through this.
Yeah, but I would love to do another episode. I still have more questions to ask, but I'm gonna wrap it up right here. That'd be great, because I'm sure the audience, your Facebook audience especially, because they seem, what I've noticed from your Facebook audience so far is that they love you. You know, they're always liking your posts, they're sharing your post, they want to know what's going on with you. So your audience would probably love another episode because they get to learn more about you. But I just want to thank you for coming on this podcast. I truly appreciate that, and I think we had some good conversations. And
thank you. I enjoyed it. I was nervous.
Yeah, you got first one in the books. It gets easier from here.
But it was pretty cool. It was it's different, and I mean, I guess I enjoy talking about myself more than I thought.
Everyone does, not just you.
Well, thank you very much.
So where can people find you? Website?
Yeah, they can find us at Tolman Installation and HomeImprovement.com. We're on Facebook. We're on Twitter. I believe we're on Instagram now.
YouTube.
And we're putting the feelers out there. So. You know, and we're easy to find, and always available.
And I'll put the links in the description to the social media platforms, so you can just, you know, one click and you're there. So I want to thank everybody for listening. I truly appreciate that. Hope you guys got value out of this episode, and you know, this is a really good episode, and I'm looking forward to the next one. So thank you, Matt.
And I am too. Thank you very much. All right.